I plan to save the comic book retail spaces in the next 365 days. What up, you guys? It's been a little bit of time for those that have already subscribed and been following what I've been up to. For you guys that are new, my name is Rich. I run Feral Publication, an alternative media publishing company. The mission, the aim of Feral Publication is to diversify art, to just open up the art spaces up for different creators, different narratives, different characters, and really just create spaces where art can just thrive, just non-conventional kind of art. So Feral Publication started as a passion project for me, a way to carve out, like a space, the kind of alternative narratives that I felt were missing in just all kinds of art spaces. It was, about diversifying art, creating a more just distribution system as well, right? Like I want to spread it far and wide. And with that, there's always been different iterations. I'm always pondering and thinking about how to do that better or more effectively. So I spent a lot of nights kind of like fueled up on coffee and just really doing deep dives into the comic book industry. A lot of it was related to school and education, but obviously my education revolves around kind of what I'm trying to build. And so there's been a lot that's been going on. And this year I had originally had plans to try to apply for Diamond Distribution to be one of the vendors or whatever. But Diamond Distribution went bankrupt. It went belly up in January. And there's talks about who's going to buy it and all that, but that's going to be a longer process. But for me, this moment in time really feels kind of like the ground is shifting. And for those that really put the time and effort into it, they can gain ground pretty quickly. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And that's what I'm seeing. And so it's about that time that I put the time and effort into getting into a retail space, which was always something that Feral Publication had in its minds. Some of the first images you'll see on my Instagram is of me checking out different swap meets in different locations, because that was originally some of the ideas that I had behind Feral Publication. But life happens and it pulled me from one angle to another, and I kind of didn't lose sight of it, but just never felt it was that time until now. So why 365 days? When I opened up Dirt Dog, I had a business partner and we worked on it diligently. It took us over a year, but I'm more seasoned. I know kind of what I'm doing. So I think 365 days to open up a retail space is very doable. And that's kind of the mission. And the idea is, once again, kind of with like Dirt Dog. As a matter of fact, let's peep this clip out.
On any given day of the week, you can walk into Dirt Dog, pick up a ticket, and choose from a list of organizations they sponsor to donate 10% of your purchase to.
We ask is your ideas for programs, projects, events, charities, nonprofits. What do you think makes a stronger LA? By giving 10% of the profits back to the community, we're hoping that the community will become smart shoppers and then actually ask this of other companies. So to say, hopefully in the future we continue this, maybe there'll be a company to counter us says 50% goes back to the community. And then someone to counter them says 20% back to the community. Before you know it, there's more revenue, more funds going back to the community. Because I always like what Michael Parenti says. He says, we want to live outside of capitalism, but we have to be practical. We're living in it. And so, in a capitalist society, everything is a commodity, even freedom, even peace of mind, everything. And so basically, how do we get more funds to the community so that they can purchase the things they need?
But yeah, the idea is that as I document it, this is things that people can pick up and use in their own retail space, or just things for them to think about and chew over, or for you guys who watch this to go and tell your local comic book shop, hey, why don't you try? And in that way, we can really test this theories that I have about how it is that the comic book industry should evolve into. And like I said with Dirt Dog, the idea is that I want to create a system that other people pick up and replicate, and obviously in their own iteration, right? But like steal these ideas, implement this, build this, do more of this, and hopefully this will kind of create a blueprint for new comic book retail spaces, so that way they can create these third spaces where art can just exist and just people can think and dream outside of the lines. And so we'll do a deep dive into like Diamond Distribution and what happened, because I have my own perception of what happened to Diamond Distribution. Obviously, like in a nutshell, they have minimum purchasing quantities, and I'm sure that Luna, as well as Penguin House, and Luna is DC Comics and Penguin House is Marvel. But like they all have minimum purchasing, right? And so if Marvel and DC are the bigger draws, probably Diamond Distribution was getting less and less orders and less people really leaning into Diamond Distribution. you know, a lot of people still buy Marvel and DC for reasons unbeknownst to me, but that's kind of what people are doing. And then on top of that, a lot of independent creators find their own audience, right? So like me, right? Like I directly send my zines to folks, but I don't or haven't used a distribution system. And so there's a growing group of creators that are just doing that straight to the readers without the distribution. So that also is hurting. Whereas Diamond Distribution should have tried to bring in newer companies and really work with them, they really didn't. And like I say it all the time, a lot of this comic book stuff that you were seeing, all this, the apocalypse of the comic book industry, it's just lazy thinking. You know, like I don't want to be a spectator in my life, in my world, right? I want to be a participant. I want to help shape it the way I want to see it. And so if these spaces that I want to go to do not exist, it's left onto me to build them. So that's what this kind of daily vlog is going to be. It's going to be me building this thing. And comic book retail being in a bad spot really is a bad thing for a lot of comic book readers, for the comic book industry as a whole. 40% of comic books that are sold in the United States are sold through comic book retail spaces. So that's close to half of the market. So that's pretty rough, man. But I still, when I was doing my own research, I saw that a lot of that is kind of skewed, but we'll get into all that as the time progresses. But so really, as the world begins to turn in a way, in a slant that I don't like, I want to be an active participant in shifting that and changing that and really bringing what I want to see in the world alive, right? I'm a creative person. I don't sit around and not make things. And the idea is that I want to make something that's going to impact these communities that I care about on a larger scale. And so that's kind of what this is all going to be about. So like through this vlog, I want to help comic book retailers. I want to help comic book publishers. I want to help alternative media companies. I want to help the readers, and I want to help build community of people that don't want to just read whatever is being spewed from a million different angles. I also don't want people feeling like they have to color inside of the lines. Like let's make weird stuff and let's think differently, and then doing that maybe build, you know, a more just and humane world. And that's kind of what I'm up to. All right, you guys, and if that sounds like something you're interested in, go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell other people about this. Let's fucking do it. All right, Lates.